Hey there, folks, and welcome to the Whitfield Report Wednesday/Thursday edition. Audio only for this week, and the reason for that being basically technical difficulties last night, folks, when attempting to do the show. The video platform that I use to live stream slash record video was not picking up my audio's guest, or my guest's audio rather, and that was a bit of a problem. So we wound up doing an alternative, and here we are now. So my guest for this week is Mortheous. He is a former podcast host and video gaming commentary. He's kind of been retired for the last few years from podcasting. But I decided to bring out retirement to talk Harry Potter and Hogwarts Legacy and all that good controversy. Plus, we get into a few other things as well, so it should be a pretty enjoyable episode. I hope you all enjoy. Alrighty, folks, good evening and welcome to the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting here, well, not live, but we are recording this podcast from South Florida. And I want to thank everyone for joining us here tonight. And my guest for this evening is Mortheous, who many of you have probably seen me banter with him on Twitter. Normally, he is trying to bonk me or something. I can't imagine why, since I never do anything wrong on Twitter whatsoever, sir. I am a perfectly, good boy on Twitter. But, what? I couldn't hear you. What was that? Was that a tick? I heard.
Bullshit.
Well, Gesundheit, I guess. But anyway, yeah, you will see him often, antagonizing me, and then our mutual friend, Mr. Craig Blissfit, who also does absolutely nothing wrong. He just likes the ladies, is all. That's the only crime that he and I are both guilty of. But also, Mortheous, I'm going to defer to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what your background is, because you have a very interesting background, kind of, in podcasting and, and in gaming, as I have found out, too. So first off, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, sir. How are you?
Pretty good.
First off, you may be in South Florida, but unfortunately, I am in snowy central New York. So that's not fun.
Yeah. Well, let me put it this way: I love New York, just not the winters, and also the government there,
and also not
sucks.
The city.
So,
but as far as my history, I was 1/3 of a now defunct wrestling podcast for a couple of years, and I was brought back to gaming as an adult back when The Witcher 3 was announced and then released. played a bunch of Gwent the Witcher card game for many years, and I pretty much play anything that suits my fancy at this point. But
Nice.
But gaming journalists seem to be throwing a hissy fit lately.
Yeah, so that kind of, brings me to the topic for tonight. So a lot of you in the audience have asked me to kind of do a review / critique of Hogwarts Legacy, which, like, honestly, I'm going to be upfront. I was never a big Harry Potter fan growing up as a kid. Like, I think I saw like the first 3 movies, and I did read like the first 3 books, but I was never really into Harry Potter growing up. James Bond, as most people know, definitely always been a lifelong Bond fan, but obviously I had friends who were into Harry Potter heavily, and then when the SJWs really started going after J.K. Rowling, I thought that was bizarre, since she herself, was
a lefty.
Yeah, I mean, she's progressive at the very least, but she was also against cancel culture, and I think that was really the kind of when they started to turn against her. So, that happened, and I was like, okay, this is strange. And then when Hogwarts Legacy got announced, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know all that much about like the development of Hogwarts Legacy, but from what I have heard, like there were game developers getting death threats if they worked on the game or something, which was bizarre to me. And I've had people ask me to cover kind of the controversy surrounding Hogwarts Legacy, but like I said, I've only recently started playing like 2 weeks ago, and it's a good game, but you seem to be more of the Hogwarts Legacy guy, at least in our circle. So, what are your general impressions, and why is this game aimed at teenagers causing so much like controversy, I guess?
The basic breakdown of the controversy is it's a game based on J.K. Rowling's universe, and the game's journalists refuse to support her because supposedly she's transphobic because she supports women's rights and wants a understandable delineation between women's rights and trans rights. And like you said, she's anti-cancel culture, and what does the left like to do, especially the SJWs? Like to cancel people. And as far as the game goes, I believe you are correct. I believe a couple of devs did get death threats. I know one of the main voice actors came out basically saying, "I'm sorry, I was a voice actor for this game." Blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, you have nothing to apologize for except maybe this apology. You took a job. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I actually played this game, and like, to be honest, it's actually kind of made me want to go back and read the Harry Potter books. Somewhat, it's the mechanics of it, like it's a really, minus few bugs, it's actually like really polished for the most part. I've enjoyed playing it, and I mean, granted, I will be the first to admit that I am playing it and I am enjoying it kind of out of spite against the game journalist. It's a solid game, and I just don't. It's 2023. Why the hell are we still complaining about video games, being dangerous or whatnot? That it's so dumb.
You and I are in the same boat here. I also was not really a Harry Potter fan growing up. Sure, I watched the movies, tried to read the books, and quite honestly, I was not interested in this game whatsoever until the games journalist started kicking up a fuss. And yes, I did also want to buy a copy because I don't. I mean, the journalists love Lego Harry Potter. What's the difference?
Yeah, it's weird.
The other thing that I have an issue with as far as games journalists go is they're always seemingly going after their supposed reader base or watcher base. It's like they don't want to be writing about video games. They want to be writing about politics. If that's what you want, leave gaming. We don't need you in gaming.
Well, I mean, the argument from them is that everything is political now. And this is one thing
because
that the
they
left,
make it that way.
Yeah, this is one thing that the cultural Marxist argues, that everything is political. TV, film, video games doesn't matter, and so they have to infiltrate it. And honestly, like, most of us just want to be left the fuck alone to just do our thing. And I mean, gaming is a big part of that. And I honestly wasn't too familiar with Gamergate until a few years ago. But, like, to be honest, I don't think Gamergate really did a whole lot other than just, throw more fuel on the fire. So.
And I also wasn't a part of Gamergate, wasn't really into the online gaming culture when that all happened. But to my understanding, after the fact, all of the research that I've been able to find is the congressional hearings that happened found all the quote unquote Gamergaters innocent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Gamergaters did nothing wrong.
No. Yeah, I mean, that whole thing was, kind of a clusterfuck.
Absolutely.
In general. But I mean, as far as, like, have you played Hogwarts Legacy at all, or?
I bought it. I've played it a couple of hours here and there, but to be straightforward with you, I've been playing more of Elden Ring, but the little bit of Hogwarts Legacy I have played, I've enjoyed it. So eventually, I will get back to it. I will complete the game. I don't really have an issue with the game. It's a solid game.
Yeah, I've been playing. I just finished Ghost of Tsushima, and that's a game that I really enjoyed, and I've also I'm in the middle of Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1, I think it's called. And despite that game having its flaws, I also enjoy it somewhat. But yeah, it's just. I mean, do you think? Here would be my question for you, and here's kind of the general topic. Do you think woke is still a problem in gaming, or do you think it's kind of tapering off?
My hope is that woke is tapering off in gaming because it's now leapt from gaming, which is where it started, into all of the other aspects of life. My original thought was, as soon as woke jumped into like mainstream sports, mainstream movies, mainstream anything, it would be BTFO'd and just beat to the ground. Unfortunately, what we've seen is the exact opposite. It's all been accepted.
Yeah, I honestly, like, I feel like the thing it is the SJW Twitter mobs, they have they're in the minority, but they have screamed so loudly that
you can't ignore them.
Yeah, you literally can't ignore them. and I mean it's a real damn shame because I have seen people literally get, harassed for, like
Wanting to
stupid
play a
things.
game. I mean,
Yeah,
let's take the former community manager of Limited Run Games. She simply tweeted that she was excited for Hogwarts Legacy, and then this activist bitched. This one single activist bitched and complained to Limited Run Games, and they fired the beloved community manager for it. And honestly, I hope Limited Run Games goes out of business because of it, because that's exactly what they deserve.
yeah, I hope so. As well. They deserve to go out of business, and I said that back when it happened. And I mean, I hadn't even heard of limited run games up until that point. But like if that's the shit they're gonna pull, they're not gonna get my money.
They're definitely not going to get a dime from me. I've heard about them because I have friends that like to get physical copies of their games, so I was aware of the company, and those friends are no longer going to partake in their products.
Yeah. One other thing that is really interesting to me is, well, first off, like, what are your favorite? I know you mentioned Elden Ring, but other than Elden Ring, I guess, what are your favorite game or game series per se?
My favorite game series is the Witcher franchise. Anybody that knows me, probably in the last 2 or 3 years, knows that I basically don't shut up about the games or the books, but I absolutely hate the Netflix show.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. I have actually not played the Witcher series. I'm told I have to, and
you have to. It's fantastic.
And I'm going to. I just don't know where. People have told me to skip like Witcher 1 and go to number 2, but like
if you have
I don't
a
know,
PC,
I feel kind of like
you can still play Witcher 1, but it is an incredibly dated game. You cannot play it on, or at least I couldn't find a way to play it on controller, so it's completely keyboard and mouse. But as frustrating as it was sometimes, I enjoyed the game.
Yeah, I have a Mac and then a PS5, so that might be a little challenging for me.
So in your case, go to Witcher 2, then go to 3, and then if you want, you can go to the offshoots of Thronebreaker and Rogue Mage, but those may or may not be your cup of tea because they're card based.
No, I like card based games, and I do like tabletop RPGs as well. I just haven't played a lot of them. So it's interesting. You said you don't like the Netflix series of the Witcher. I'm curious as to why.
My belief is if you're going to take a pre-established franchise that has, in this case, 8 books from the author, you follow those 8 books to a T and create the show. You do not get to take creative license and screw up the lore, which is what they've done.
Yeah. So basically, you're at the point with the Witcher series that I'm at with The Last of Us. Basically.
Absolutely, and now Henry Cavill has announced that he's done with the show after season 3. I won't even consider watching it. I mean, heck, they had verbally gotten him to agree to do all 7 or 8 seasons, whatever it was going to be, if they had stuck to the source material. Unfortunately for him and the rest of the fans, because let's face it, Henry Cavill is a fan of the Witcher franchise, they chose not to stick to the source material.
That's a real bummer. That they didn't do that. Well, I mean, and as far as the Last of Us goes, I mean, I know you and I have mutuals on Twitter that that watch the Last of Us show and enjoy it, and that's fine. I don't begrudge anyone who likes the show, but it's not the same as the game, and I always try and encourage people with The Last of Us at least, and with The Witcher, to play the original game, because well, I mean, have you played The Last of Us? First off,
Unfortunately, I have not, because at this point in my life, I'm strictly a PC gamer. So unfortunately, I don't have access to either of those games. I don't believe.
I believe part 1 is coming to PC.
Well, then when it comes to PC, I will commit to you and our mutual friend. When it hits PC, I will play it.
Yeah. But long story short, I mean, they have basically, well, I mean, part 1 is like it's a father and daughter love story in the zombie apocalypse, right?
Right.
That you can pretty much watch like.
I've watched
gameplay.
like Angry Joe's reviews and got the overall gist of both of the games.
Okay, yeah. The first game is a masterpiece. The second game is not bad, but they cram a lot of identity politics into the second game, and that has caused a big rift in the fandom. And HBO adapted the game, and they've done a lot of, from what I've heard, they've done a lot of good things with the adaptations in some ways, but they're modeling, but they're also shoehorning in a lot of the identity politics and whatnot that people who are Last of Us fans like myself hate, and they're going in a different direction from the first game, and yeah, so that drives me a bit mad.
And that's exactly where I'm at with the Witcher series on Netflix. If you don't know about the books, don't know about the games, I'm sure it's a fine show to watch. But the problem is the fans like myself, who have all that history, know all the lore, just like, why?
Yeah, and I mean, and see, the other thing too is like a lot of the fans who of the show have not, like, they haven't played either game, so they don't know what's going to happen in the game, in the series rather, and I already do, because I've played the second game, in which the main character, spoiler, gets killed off, or one of the main characters, and so like I don't know, I haven't even watched the first season of The Last of Us, because I kind of already know that, like, it's going to be a huge disappointment for a lot of people, and like I don't know, I just want to save myself from that disappointment in the future. So
and as far as where I'm at with The Witcher on Netflix, I 100% watched the first season. Sure, it had a lot of issues, but overall I enjoyed it. Season 2 is where I really started having major issues, where they did something to a secondary Witcher that doesn't happen in the games, doesn't happen in the books, and killed him off. Like, there was no need to do that. And
yeah.
now with Henry Cavill leaving, there's really no reason to continue watching, because he was the perfect Geralt they ever could have cast. Period.
Well, I mean, Henry Cavill has gotten the shit beaten out of him, metaphorically at least, because he basically got let go from the DC universe.
Yep.
Then he got brought back only to basically be told that he's fired again, and that was the reason why he quit the Witcher. And I don't know if you, I'm sure you know this, but Henry Cavill is British.
Yep.
So I actually am like, Henry Cavill should go, and he should be the new James Bond after Daniel Craig, as far as I'm concerned.
I'd be good with that.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a Bond fan you are, but yeah, I've read all the James Bond novels and seen all the movies, and he would be a perfect Bond. So
I'm a casual Bond fan, but what really brought me to the series was the old 007 from Super Nintendo. That was my jam back in the day.
Yeah, I played GoldenEye. I played some of those Super Nintendo games. And that's the other thing too, is they do want to bring the 007 game franchise back, and like Henry Cavill might be interested in doing that if he does get casted. So
and actually, since we're still on Henry Cavill, it was also announced that Henry Cavill is doing something with Warhammer, which I know nothing about the franchise, but I have so much trust in Henry Cavill at this point. If he does something, I will be considered. I will watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like him. I like him as an actor. I mean, even in the a Noah Holmes movie as Sherlock Holmes, he did a very good Sherlock Holmes, I must admit. So yeah, I don't. I know he didn't get canceled quite like Gina Carano, but
they sure as hell tried.
Yeah, they sure as hell tried. Which, by the way, Craig, if you're watching this, I have not seen you simp for Gina Carano. What's up with that? But yeah, I'm sure he'll hear. I'm sure he'll hear this at some point.
He may not have simped for Gina Carano, but our mutual Nasty Will certainly has.
Yeah, Will's another. Well, Will is basically the black version of me, except he's not crippled. But conservative Kratos, he's a good guy. So,
and actually, since you brought up the identity politics a little bit, I wanted to speak on something a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
You and I are both in wheelchairs, so obviously we don't see, quote unquote, many people like us in modern media. Thing about that is, I don't need to see somebody physically like me, as long as I see somebody with the personality that I can identify with.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
in the 90s.
Yeah, so. Oh, go ahead.
Sure. In the 90s, yes, we had Professor X. But the thing with Professor X is you don't focus on the wheelchair. You focus on his personality and his badass abilities.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that is one thing that I actually had in my notes to ask you, but then I forgot about it because more in my mind, it to me, honestly, I mean, I make the base cripple man jokes because it's funny, but like I don't see you as disabled, and so often I forget that you're disabled. And
that's why I like to present myself the way I do online. Is I will let people know that I trust. Hey, I'm in a wheelchair. Blah blah blah. but I don't center my entire personality around my
Yeah.
disability, around my wheelchair, any of that bullshit. It's either you like me for my personality, or you can fuck off.
Yeah, and that's pretty much my that's pretty much how I feel too. I mean, and for me, because I'm a bit younger than you, although I mean I'm not that young anymore either, though. I mean I'm pushing 30, and it is weird. I do want to ask you, as a fellow, um, individual, as a fellow cripple man, I guess. Um, have you encountered like able-bodied people who are like, you're differently abled, or you're, you need to be treated special, or like I've had some really weird encounters with people who are like, you shouldn't say disabled or crippled or something because that's offensive. You're differently abled, and I'm just like, everyone is differently able. That doesn't mean shit. Like,
Oh, I've absolutely come across that, especially on Twitter. That's why up until recently I didn't put the handicap emo in my Twitter bio, because I don't want people to really be disarmed or alarmed by it.
yeah,
But my thing is, I love jumping into. Let's put it this way: back when Elden Ring was released, they had the FromSoft games should have an easy mode. Bullshit. And they were standing on people like us who are disabled, have disabilities, whatever, and trying to couch it in the disabled people need a way to play hard games. How about, because you are quote unquote able-bodied, you can fuck off and not speak for me?
you want to know what's funny? More, and this is a true story that you will especially appreciate. But when I was a kid, like we're talking like probably first grade or something, I actually had I actually had an occupational therapist that recommended to my parents that they get me a game console because
Oh, nice.
it would help me with my eye-hand coordination. And at one point, shut up, Siri. I at one point, my mom would actually make me play video games
Oh, that's awesome.
because I didn't want to, because it was hard, because I was having to use my hands in different ways. But eventually, I mean, I got to be I am very my hand dexterity is very good because I'm a gamer.
Right.
And that was back in the days when there was no easy mode. I mean, there was, but it wasn't like they didn't have like an accessibility mode or anything like that. Like I did try some of those features, and I have to be honest, like
It sucks.
so. Well, the accessibility mode for me was actually harder. It was actually harder for me to use the controls than it was just standard
Right.
mode.
And
So
actually, I've got
I don't know what that's.
for you as
Yeah,
I up until the last couple of years, I was a very diehard Magic the Gathering player, and with my physical disabilities, I'm supposed to have a bunch of other mental disabilities to go along with it, because that's just the way my physical diagnosis is usually accompanied by a bunch of mental deficiencies. And I personally think, because of how long I played Magic, it helped me grow and retain my cognitive function far better than the average person in my particular situation.
uh, Yeah, I mean, that's interesting for sure. And I mean, yeah, I can see. I never got into like Magic the Gathering or anything just because like it was never really a thing. But yeah, I mean, I I can certainly see how that would come in handy for you. I mean, and yeah, I mean, the other thing too was like when I'm around like a lot of my gamer friends, like no, the ones who know me at least, no one gives a shit that I'm in a wheelchair or anything like that. The only time is like they might make like a crippled jokes if they might make like a crippled joke like if I make like a bad kill on COD or something like that. Generally, uh, you know, they don't. People just don't care. So
Right. And actually, to bounce off that, unfortunately, most of my real life friends aren't gamers per se, but a buddy of mine from college, we would go bar hopping on occasion, and we would fuck with the people at the bar because he's quote unquote able bodied. I'm in a wheelchair. I would do something like fall out of my chair, and he would just stand there and berate me and just fuck with me. And the people in the bar would like jump all over his shit for not helping me. Like, and then you've got me as he's getting verbally beat up, flipping my chair up, popping myself back in probably within like 30 seconds, and just laughing my ass off because they got.
that's hilarious. Yeah, See, you're not as bad as I am. I just use my disability to pick up barmaids most of the time. So,
Hey, if they're
so
gonna feel bad for you, why the hell not?
yeah, well, most of them feel bad until the uh. Oh, I'll tell you what the worst thing is, and this doesn't even have to do with like women. Well, it mostly has to do with like with liberals. I don't know if you've ever gotten this, but like I hate it when I'm out in public and I'll get people who see I'm in a wheelchair and they will start speaking super slow to me like this.
Yep.
Like I'm fucking retarded and there have literally been times where like I have like where people will be in the middle of a sentence just like speaking super slowly and just like this, I will literally just like check my watch and then tap on it and be like, hurry the fuck up. I don't have all day to like to
Wait for you to
listen
finish
you.
your sentence.
Yeah. And then like
I've definitely gotten it as well, and you could. It's always liberals that do it. I've literally never had a quote unquote right winger treat me in a demeaning way ever.
No. So yeah, and I mean the other thing too is like I've even had people in our circle like say you should be nice to him more, and I've been like I'm like I can make crippled jokes to Mort because he's also crippled, and he
Exactly.
doesn't.
It's basically you and I and maybe one or two other people that I'm okay with the cripple joke bullshit. Anybody else that I haven't basically given express permission to pull that bullshit, I'm gonna rip into them.
Yeah, well, and I mean even when unauthorized people do try and that shit, I would be like, well, at least I might be crippled, but at least I'm not retarded or something like that.
I love it.
That's my go-to with trolls mostly. But yeah, I mean with the whole thing, like the whole representation in gaming too, it's like people are like, how do you feel about the representation of disabled people in video games? It's like honestly, I don't care. like I play games to escape that shit.
Exactly. I when I'm playing Witcher 3, one of my favorite games of all time, I play as Geralt of Rivia. I don't play as Mortheous, pretending to be Geralt. I am Geralt of Rivia. I am not in my body. I am just playing the game, doing Geralt's thing.
Yeah, my all-time favorite one of my all-time favorite games has to be Red Dead Redemption. And when I'm playing or Red Dead Redemption 2 rather. Although I do love both games, partially because the woke people hate RDR2, and that is just a wee sweetener. But yeah, when I'm playing that game, I am Arthur fucking Morgan, and I don't I don't care that there's a lack of of disabled people in games. It doesn't bother me. It never has.
That, and if you really think about it, in a setting like RDR2, somebody in our predicament would be dead very, very quickly.
Oh, fuck yeah. Well, I mean, in my predicament, I would just be riding a horse 24/7. That would be my only way to get. That would have been my only way to get around in the old West.
Yeah, we'd either be on a horse or some type of buggy, or literally be carried all over the place. That is it.
Yeah. So maybe I mean the only game series where I can maybe see things like going really well for us would be Metal Gear Solid, but that's because we would probably get like some weird cyborg either
Metal Gear Solid or Cyberpunk.
Yeah, well, Cyberpunk would be.
They just chop off our legs and give us new ones.
Well, no, in Cyberpunk, I would I know me. I would get I would probably get kidnapped by Arasaka and just put into and get my brain fried immediately because I hate big woke corporations. In reality, by the way, fuck Google and fuck YouTube for censoring my channel. I'm not going to shut up about that. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would just get vaporized, or put into my, or put into.
Fuck YouTube. Apparently, Steven Crowder is going exclusively over to Rumble.
Good for him.
Right.
Good for him. More people should be on Rumble and Odyssey.
Absolutely.
In my book. And
tech is the future.
Yeah, I just and to be honest, identity politics is on the right there too, which also annoys me somewhat. There,
yep.
When Turning Point, when I was in college, Turning Point USA actually wanted to bring me on to be their disabled spokes
They're
guy.
totally disabled.
Yeah, and I was like, fuck no. I'm not gonna do that either. So
nope.
in fact, I actually got into an infamous Twitter battle with Charlie Kirk because he kicked out Brandy Love out of one of the conventions, and she wasn't doing anything per se. She's a porn star, but she wasn't promoting any of her stuff there. And so I was like, why did you kick her out if she wasn't doing anything? And, well, because she's a porn star. But you just said you didn't know that she was a porn star. Well,
he probably watches her shit, so he knows.
Yeah, if yeah, and it's like if you're going to do that, then at least be upfront about it. That's part of the reason that's one of the reasons why I love Craig, honestly, is because he makes no apologies for being a horny motherfucker.
Right? And as much as I give shit to Craig, I'm not. It's just brother bullshit. It's not anything serious. It's just, I'm just fucking with him because he's my bro.
No,
Just like when I fuck with you, I'm doing it because you're my broski.
No,
I don't actually have.
Yeah, and what people don't understand is like a lot of what I do in regards to Craig is me parroting, is me doing sketch comedy where I'm like, it is Craig's First Amendment right as an American to be horny on men 24/7. And by the way, yeah, I know I'm missing AEW, but it's Wednesday night. I've got my own show, so. But anyway, so I was hoping that Max would be able to join us, but apparently he's indisposed at the moment. So he might join us later. But what is you mentioned that you had some stuff to talk in regards to tabletop RPGs, and what's the deal with that, and what did you want to talk about?
It's more specifically Wizards of the Coast. They're based in Seattle. They're an incredibly woke ass company. They're doing everything that they can to quote unquote push out white guys. But here's the thing. They don't have last I knew, they didn't have a single fucking minority employed by the fucking company. Especially the magic side.
So, what's the...
There are a bunch of hypocrites that want to crow about wokeness and diversity when the company itself isn't exactly the most diverse. And there was this one guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was basically telling white guys to leave the hobby. Okay, I'll leave the hobby after you and Mark Rosewater, the head of Magic at Wizards of the Coast, leave first because you guys are white too.
Yeah, it's rules for Bean, but not for me. Well, like it's weird because, like from what I understand, they're starting to like D&D is also starting to go woke, and like I guess they're no longer allowing people to like create their own characters and like adventures without like having to pay like an exorbitant amount of money to the D&D people.
Yeah, they recently tried to screw with their open game license, which thankfully the Dungeons and Dragons community fought back and got them to actually finally back down on that. I just wish the Magic side of Wizards of the Coast fans had done the same thing, because they've basically ruined the game with diversity and inclusion. Because to me, if being diverse is fine, but do it in a smart way. Don't be like, this is the first such and such ever. In our case, this is the first crippled person in a wheelchair on a card. We don't fucking need to know that. How about you properly incorporate it into your fucking story?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and they've done the same thing with comics recently too, which also drives me crazy. Like, you mentioned Professor X earlier, but like my favorite disabled character in comics, who I actually identify more with than even Professor X, is Daredevil. yeah, I know Daredevil is blind and obviously not like in a wheelchair, but they've written Daredevil and Matt Murdock so well as far as like an actual guy who has to deal with disabilities but doesn't let it define him. That, like, to me, that's more relatable
Absolutely.
than say Professor. I mean, and granted, like, Professor X is like a well-written character, right? But like, I never think of Professor X as like the wheelchair-bound guy.
Right.
So,
which is why I bring him up, because people don't think of him as the wheelchair-bound mutant. He's just the head of the X-Men.
yeah, and
the wheelchair just happens to be there.
And in fact, like, I honestly don't really need to know. I don't really care like how he got, disabled. Like, it's like an interesting tidbit, but that doesn't really change anything for me. So
I agree. And to me, that's the way you should be writing a character. You write a character as quote unquote able-bodied, and then you add the added they're in a wheelchair, they're on hand crutches, they have whatever disability or whatever trait you want them to have, but you don't take away from their able-bodied, because let's face it, you and I have done everything in our lives to quote unquote be normal.
Yeah, and it's really disheartening because I mean, I feel like I've worked hard my entire life, and you've worked hard your entire life to, reach like a center of normalcy, and now we've got all these woke assholes telling us specifically that that's bad,
right?
That we're bigoted at it.
That our whole lives should be focused on our disability. How about that's not how I was brought up? I was brought up to see an obstacle and fucking defeat it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you definitely have. I mean, you seem, pretty normal.
I'm going to crow a little bit here. I have a degree in music industry. I am a published poet. I play guitar. I have a job that I love that I've been at for a little over 10 years right out of college because I fought for what I wanted.
Yeah, good for you, man. I mean, I don't want to I don't want to dox you too much, but I mean, like, based on like I know of your background, it seems like you've done pretty well for yourself. I just graduated college, and I'm starting like a freelance, design and web development business of my own, and I mean I've had some successful clients, and then I am kind of trying to like monetize this podcast on the side and do some work with NFTs and whatnot as well. But yeah, like honestly, it's just grinding. That's 90% of it. So,
because let's face it, every single person on this rock we call Earth has been given a particular hand they have to deal with.
Yeah,
and if I'm being straight up, I would rather have been born in my situation than to have had it and lose it.
Yeah, and that's like, and that is one thing I say too. Is like I have cerebral palsy. I've had it since birth. To me, like that's a lot easier than like I have friends who are wounded veterans, and like to be able to walk and then to not to be that's gotta be really. That's gotta be. I don't feel sorry. I don't feel sorry for them per se, but like I do understand. Like that's gotta be rough in like a different way. So
right.
And I mean, granted, like there are. I mean, I'll be the first to admit there are days certainly where I've been like, this sucks. I wish I could just, like get up and walk and not have to deal with this shit. And there have also been days where I've been like, this sucks. I wish I could, just like, get up and take like a piss normally, just like stuff like that. But like, I don't let it get me down too much.
Right. You don't dwell on it. You and I both have our bad days. And for me, my outlet is guitar. Whenever I'm in a super shitty mood and I just don't want to deal with life, I grab one of my girls and play until my freaking fingers hurt.
Yeah,
and it really helps.
Yeah, I mean that's how I am with video games. So, like even podcasting, like it's been pretty, therapeutic for me. And I mean, I've been at it for 15 years, and nice. I love it. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, like I guess the thing that does get me down more than anything, and it's not really even the fact that like I have a disability. It's all these woke ass people like that make me feel conscious about it.
Right. That make you and I feel conscious and try to make you or I feel lesser than because of the situation we were born into. How about you woke assholes actually do what you are supposedly professing to do and actually treat people like a normal fucking human being?
Yeah. No, that's that's all I want, and that's all you want. So,
yep.
And like honestly, like I'm like you. I honestly, up until recently, I really didn't care if people knew I was disabled or whatnot. The reason why I've been more open about it in recent years is honestly because I honestly feel like I've needed to, pardon the pun here, step in and step out, up to these woke assholes and like say, no, you're not going to speak for all disabled people. We're not one of your victim groups, assholes. So,
and that's also part of the reason why I have become an outspoken the way I have, especially in the sphere of gaming, because again, they want to whine, bitch, and complain, especially games journalists couch wanting an easy mode for themselves because they're fucking lazy and don't want to actually learn a goddamn game. They want an easy mode for them, which to me, they want journo mode. They don't want an accessibility mode for people like you and I. They want journo mode so they can get through a game, so they can get off their bullshit review.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is like all these game. So this is the other thing that kind of pisses me off is all these game journos. They're neither gamers nor journalists. How the fuck are they? Here would be my real question: how the fuck are all these nobodies like making money off this shit that they're not even qualified to like talk about? Like, I should be getting paid for like game reviews. So, like,
because they break off of rage clicks, because that's what honestly that's what this whole Hogwarts Legacy attempted boycott was. Is they were trying to get hate clicks.
Yeah. Well, I mean they've been, and I mean it backfired on them because like Hogwarts Legacy is selling like hotcakes. So
And personally, I'm glad the gaming community has finally stood up to these fucking assholes and been like, "Fuck you! I'm playing this game." I can't remember who it was
Yeah.
that did it, but there was somebody had actually done a website and named every single Twitch uh, broadcaster that had said they were going to or did stream the game because they tried to out everybody. Thankfully, the website got shut down.
It's interesting you and I are talking about gaming, and Angry Joe is trending on Twitter. I just checked. I guess pissed off Pedro is causing some heat. So
I think the Angry Joe situation is because of the new April O'Neil situation.
Oh yeah, what the fuck is that about anyway?
Freaking Seth Rogen apparently wants to do Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show, and of course, crazy lefty race swap fucking everybody.
Oh
specifically
yeah,
April O'Neil.
Which, by the way, what is with the hatred of redheaded women? I don't understand. I don't understand that. See, this is where like I've been trying to enlist Craig. Like he needs to start simping for more redheads because
redheads are fucking great.
They are underrepresented, and I don't know why. I don't know why the left hates them, they're just why they're underrepresented. So
because they're white.
Well, yeah, and because they have no souls. Although, to be honest, Angie Everhart can. Angie Everhart can steal. So can Christina Hendricks. She can steal my soul. I don't mind. So, one bit. But the race swapping of characters. It wouldn't bother me so much if it didn't feel like such a deliberate fuck you.
Oh, it's absolutely a deliberate fuck you, because then when fans come at them, and their response is, why does it matter to you? If it didn't matter, why did you do it in the first place? If that's how you're going to play it.
Well, and it's like if you're here's the other thing too. If you want more diversity, create
your own shit.
Yeah, create your own character. So. I mean, I guess he's also in some. I guess Angry Joe is also in some heat because he like called Eric July alt-right or something like that. Which
jeez,
Eric July is not alt-right at all, and yeah, this is why Mr. Medicare hates Angry Joe, and why he also hates. I mean, everybody hates DSP, but Medicare in particular, like, did a pretty good job of like taking DSP down a notch. Which I still don't understand what DSP's gimmick is, other than like, does he just purposely lose? Does he just purposely suck at gaming and do it like on purpose?
I think part of his gimmick early on was raging at games, sucking on purpose. But now that he's 40 years old, according to himself, soon to be 41, he wants to present himself as a quote-unquote good gamer, which, I'm sorry, he's been at for 15 years. He should know by now his fan base isn't there to watch them be good at games. They're there to see the gamer rage.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. Now, let's see. Is Chrome frozen or?
I can still see and hear you.
Okay. Yeah, Twitter is freezing up on me for some reason, but anyway, that's
wonderful.
yeah, that's wonderful. But I don't know, man. I mean, one of the other games I like is one of the other games I absolutely love. We were just talking about is Cyberpunk. In that whole universe. I haven't played the tabletop game of that, but I've heard that it's excellent. I have read some of the source material. And listen, people love to shit on 2077 for all the bugs, but they fixed it and it's a good game now. So I don't see what people's problem with that anymore.
I also thoroughly enjoyed the game. Sure, what was the game exactly what they promised us? Fuck no. But it was nowhere near as bad as some other games that come out. Like all of the sports games that are buggy, microtransaction ridden shit fests. Yeah, those are okay to be on the store.
Yeah, microtransactions are those are the worst.
They are the bane of gaming.
Yeah, they literally ruined the EA games entirely. Especially, I mean, like Madden was never great, but it used to be somewhat decent before microtransactions take place, and that's on top of the $70 that you're already spending. So,
yeah,
and every single year.
And that's my other issue with the yearly sports games is you're paying for a roster update every year. What for me, in my opinion, what they should do is release the base game of say Madden 23, and then have some sort of expansion pack for the roster update, but have the base game be free.
Yeah, and just do that every year or something like that. Well, I mean, that's what they do on iOS in the mobile games, so they should just do that on console, and PC too. So, yeah, and I mean, I haven't played any of the WWE games, but my understanding is it's the same thing. You basically pay for a new, not even a new roster every year, like
tweaked
like
numbers. That's about it.
Yeah, like I saw the other day, like people were getting excited about like all of these WWE 23 rankings, and I'm like, okay, what's this about? I mean, because like I said, I've never, and then I figured out that it was related to the game, but like I said, I've never played the WWE games. So, is that anything you're familiar with, or
I've played a couple of I've played a couple of the WWE games. I think the last one that I played was like 2018 and 2019 because I couldn't deal with all the buggy crap that was happening in those games. And let's face it, the bug montages on YouTube for those games, fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But as far as wrestling games that I play, I love Fire Pro Wrestling on Steam.
Uh-huh.
But I don't usually go anywhere near the WWE games.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, they just seem like roster updates. So,
That's exactly what they are.
yeah. Yeah, man, it's just all those sports games are just big money grab. I mean, and so is the vast majority of sports these days. Anyway, so
That's the thing.
but
I'm not. I'm not the biggest sports guy, but back in the day of Sega Genesis and whatnot, I love playing the Maddens, the NHL games, the basketball games, whatever. But I won't go anywhere near the microtransaction card pack bullshit.
yeah, yeah, that's dumb. Yeah, microtransactions. It started off because of the iPhone, and then for some reason, game developers thought they were a good idea, and the gaming industry has they've kind of leaned off them in recent years, but it was a big problem for a while. So, unfortunately,
I mean, hell, just look at the recent Diablo Immortal on smartphones. That was horrible.
oh yeah, Mike. Well, I mean that wasn't that game like revealed to be like a scam or something?
It's not so much as well. I guess you can say microtransactions are basically a scam, but you can basically you would either have to play 10 years or pay something like $100,000 minimum to get one character to max level.
Wow. Yeah, that's a shame. So, yeah. But anyway, well, do you have any other topics that you want to bring up, or?
No, I think we've talked about everything that I would have wanted to bring up tonight.
Alrighty, sir. Well, I'm just trying to figure out how to fix Chrome because it is frozen again.
Oh, geez.
So hopefully I can figure out how to get it unfrozen. But do you do any like contributing anywhere or anything like that, or
Not currently, but this was fun.
yeah, it was fun to have you on, and hopefully we can figure out how to get the live streaming situation figured out in the future. Because yeah, you seem to know a lot of your stuff in regards to gaming, and also that's cool that you play guitar too. That's one thing that I tried picking up, but I had a bit of a tough time with it. So, yeah.
And honestly, what's funny about that is the original reason why I picked up guitar was the most unknowable reason why anybody could ever pick up an instrument. Back in my early 20s, guitar equals chick magnet, which isn't exactly wrong. But I never thought picking up a guitar in my early 20s would send me on a path to a college degree.
Really? How did that go?
I fell in love with music so much, guitar and music so much that I knew I had to figure out a way to get some sort of degree, get paid to do something in regards to the music industry. So I went to college and have a degree in music industry.
What are your favorite bands by chance?
Favorite
Or
Love Nirvana back in the day. I love, as far as more recent, I love Lindsey Sterling, the violinist. Avenged Sevenfold. I love all the classics like Skinner, Iron Maiden, Metallica, any of those.
yeah, me too.
But I can literally listen to anything from classical music to current stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the classics as well. So, alrighty, sir. Well, I think that will just about do it. Where can people find you?
But the only place that I'm really online is on Twitter, and that's at Mortheous. That's Mortheous, and just hit me up there if you want to talk. And I'm on most of the time, as Sam knows. So if you get a hold of me, I'm down to chat about basically whatever.
Yeah. And I want to thank Mortheous for joining me for the Wednesday edition of the podcast this week. That was a great conversation that we had. Go follow my fellow based cripple man on Twitter at Mortheous. And hopefully we'll have him back again soon for a live episode. And we can also get him on video and all that working for you guys who usually like to watch the podcast. But, every once in a while, an audio episode works just as well. So, anyway, I want to thank you all for tuning in for today's show. And I hope you all have a good day wherever you are in the past, present, future hour. And God bless, God save this great nation, and God, freedom, legacy in that order. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next episode.